What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode and the season finale. Hit my mic. The season finale of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. That is just the regular season. We do have the postseason right around the corner. My name is Jaymes Howell. Right next to me, to my left, to my right, wherever he is, my buddy, my co-host, my legendary co-host, Chase Riley. Chase Riley, how you doing tonight?
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Mama Bear in the house. I see you. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. She is here as always. My biggest supporter, Daniel Wetstein. Stay legendary, my guy. That is a good buddy of mine. He runs a show. Go check him out. It's called The Buck and Bronco. If you're a Denver fan, I know, whatever. But, you know, if you like good content, he knows what's going on. He's a very smart guy. Go check him out. It's called The Buck and Bronco. Sounds like Chase Riley got his mic back together. Chase, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Trying to get this. Got a new setup here and trying to get it all figured out. So, but I think we got it going. Process. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like it's something new every single week.
Yeah. Hey, that's okay. New is good. New means growth. Yeah. And that's what we're here for.
It is. It's growing pains. It's growing pains. David Lindsay, I see you here in the chat. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in with us again tonight. Janine Jones, that is my old lady. I love you, baby. Thank you for tuning in as always. Look, guys, it's been an incredible year. We made it. This is the season finale. This is the last it's the regular season finale. We made it every single week. I think I think we missed 1 week because we had some sickness. We missed 1 week this year, but we made it. We made it every single week. This is our first full season. And look, I was talking to Chase Riley. Look, I bought an ad early in the season. We reached 800 people with that ad. The last post that I made, we reached 22,000 people unassisted. That's because of you. That's because of each and every single one of you, my legendary community that tunes in each and every single week. Our growth has been tremendous. We've gained so much traction, and we look to carry that forward in 2022. We're going to have a lot of off-season content, so don't think that when the season ends, whenever it might end, don't think that the content is going to end. We're going to have a ton of off-season content. And because we have grown so much, we reached 400 followers. And like I promised, we would give away this L'Jarius Sneed. You guys can't see it. I did it again. Let me turn the green screen off. But I said that we would do a giveaway. Did that work?
Yeah, you're good, man. Nope.
No, it didn't work. Okay, let me.
It did work for a second.
Okay. Here we go. Look, there it is. Look, there it is. L'Jarius Sneed, 8x10. I said we would give it away. We're doing it. We're doing it tonight. Should I just go ahead and do it right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it right now.
I don't think I'm going to do it just yet, man. I want to see. I'm excited to give it away. I want to make sure everyone that was in the contest remains in the contest or gets in here so they can see the giveaway. But let me show you guys something. I do have it set up. We are ready to go. We are going to give this bad boy away tonight. The entries are in place. So stay tuned. We'll give it away. First, I want to talk about some games that kind of had some big playoff implications this past week. And the first one was the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts. picked the Colts to win, it was the Jaguars that would come out and score first with this pass from Trevor Lawrence to Laquan Treadwell. And from there, it was the Jags defense that stepped up, time after time after time.
Wentz under pressure and goes down.
The Colts and Jaguars would trade a pair of field goals, making it 10-3 at halftime.
And that one from 20 is good as time expires.
The Colts would come out at halftime, and clearly they wanted to get Jonathan Taylor involved.
Wentz will throw for it. Taylor with the catch and the first down and yardage up the sideline before he goes.
And then this happened.
Under pressure and going down. And the ball back.
Carson Wentz's day didn't get much better.
Wentz pulls it down once, now throws intercepted.
Trevor Lawrence would connect with Marvin Jones Jr. to extend the lead to 23-3. Early in the fourth quarter, the Colts are trying to mount a comeback. Carson Wentz connects with several different receivers to get all the way to the 1-yard line. But the Jags defense was unforgiving on this day and would make a stand.
There is no touchdown signal. The Jaguars made the stand.
Carson Wentz and the Colts can kiss those playoff dreams goodbye after losing to the 3-14 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Officially out of it.
All right, so we've got the Colts versus the Jaguars. The situation for the Colts was, look, if you win, you're in. And you're sitting there staring at a 2-14 Jacksonville team. This is I've never seen it coming. It never should have happened. I can't. I still have problem wrapping my brain around the fact that this even happened.
I agree, man. I was watching it and I was like, it was pretty. It seemed like it was going to be a pretty easy situation for the Colts. And when they went in there, they didn't look like a team that wanted to win. So by the second quarter, I was like, yeah, get them out. Get them out.
I mean, it almost seemed like they got hit by the classic trap game scenario. They're almost looking at like it's just the lowly Jaguars. So, they're preparing for whoever their opponent might be in the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence and company came in there and just smacked them around.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really, and like I said in the video, it wasn't really Trevor Lawrence. It was more that defense. Carson Wentz fumbles, he throws an interception, and then they capitalize on those. They get a touchdown off one, they get a field goal off another, and when you just can't make mistakes like that in the postseason, and their playoffs started this last week, and now they're out.
Yep, and because of their mismanagement of that game and messing that up, now we have to look at teams that shouldn't be in there. And we'll get into that as time goes. It's just like I said, you're looking at a team that is more than likely going to get the number 1 overall pick, and you go in there and you let them beat you. It was a classic case of a trap game.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, inexcusable. I mean,
yeah.
But and then like you just mentioned, it allowed other teams to get in, that maybe shouldn't have gotten in. But inconsistencies will kill you, so it's just what it is. You didn't beat the Jacksonville Jags, so you don't really, in my book, you don't really deserve a spot. If that was the situation, you can't beat the Jags, you don't really deserve a spot.
Yeah.
So, and then we have the whole situation before these games even took place, and what everyone was talking about is that if Indy loses, then LA and Las Vegas could tie, and both make it in. And they couldn't have got any closer to getting that tie.
That whole game, weirded me out. So they're looking at, we hear about this, weird once in a blue moon situation where, hey, if both teams just kneel the ball and tie, they both can wind up getting in. And it was kind of just one of those things where everybody laughed about it. And reporters even asked one of the teams, hey, what do you guys think about doing that? And they were like, well, how do you know the other team's going to cooperate and go through with that?
Right.
Then Justin Herbert's mic'd up, and Justin Herbert's talking about how, are we really going to tie? Are we really going to tie? Then after the game, they asked the head coach of the Raiders, they were like, what about that tie? And the Raiders head coach was like, we were all for it until we saw that they called a timeout on that third down. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not taking any chances. I'm kicking a field goal. And I don't know, man. That's kind of weird. Do you think there's a possibility that Roger Goodell could send a letter to one of those organizations and say, hey,
well, what's the old saying? It's you play to win the game. You play to win the game.
That's right.
And as a professional, there shouldn't be even if we tie, we both get in. No, go out there, kick the fucking field goal, play to win the game.
Yeah.
End of story. And I think that if that is allowed, to settle for a tie, I mean, it's almost chipping away at the integrity of the game. In my eyes, because you like I said, as a professional, you should play to win. If that is an option, there should be no reason why you kneel it down and tie. A tie is like kissing your sister. That should never be an option. David Lindsay says they played their asses off, and if the Chargers hadn't called a timeout in overtime, they would have tied. Yeah, and I think they would have. And the reason, his reason why he called a timeout was he wanted to make sure he got the right personnel in case, the Raiders tried to pull something, and go for the win. You should play for the win. And if both sides are playing for the win, there's none of this. None of this happens. None of this. Were you going to take the tie? None of this drama. None of this extra stuff. None of it happens. No, we both played, and the Raiders were the better team. On that day, I don't think that they're better. I don't think they're the better team, and at all. I think Miami would have been a better team than the Raiders, but whatever. It's the format that it is.
Yeah.
So Daniel Hibden, play to win. It's the playoffs. It's why we play the game. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So that was just interesting how that played out, and and I'm not big into conspiracy theories or anything like that, but dang, it almost felt like someone had a hand in it, just a little bit. it was the talk of the town, and everyone was talking about the scenario. And then sure as shit, here it comes.
Yeah, and that was what was weird to me was, I'm watching it and I'm watching the Chargers get ready to score that on that final drive, and I was like, this thing ain't going to overtime. Like, this is weird,
Yeah.
And then it did go to overtime, and I was like, okay, maybe we maybe somebody will score. And then like I said, it was looking like it was coming down to the wire, and the Raiders, I almost called them Oakland again. The Raiders head coach, like I said in the press conference, he said, we were going to go ahead and let the clock run out and call it a tie, but they called that timeout on third down, and he was like, nope, let's go out and win it. So
yeah, and I'm glad they did. I mean, that's the right move in my book.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because they win it, that allows Pittsburgh to get in. Because a tie, they both would have got in. Pittsburgh would have been out. I got a buddy of mine, and you know him from on Facebook, but Mike Harris, big time Pittsburgh fan. I was talking to him live during the game, during the Vegas and Los Angeles game. And boy, he was so nervous. And of course, I don't give a crap about the Raiders or the Chargers getting in. So I wanted to see Pittsburgh get in, for the sake of my boy, And man, I was nervous. He was nervous. We're both. I really thought it was going to come down to a tie, but we know, the rest is history. Vegas wins. And
yeah, do you know that they said they gave the amount, and I don't remember, and I didn't pay attention to it, but it was a pretty large, substantial amount that Vegas would have lost if that game would have gone to a tie.
Yeah.
So, very, very, very interesting how, like I said, just the drama, just the drama to it, like. Monday morning, these analysts are sharing this thing and everybody's talking about it. And, if all they have to do is kneel the ball for all four quarters and both teams get in, or if it ends in a tie. And I was like, well, that sounds nice, but that's not going to happen. And then, like I said, watching the game and watching it come down to the wire, it was just, I was like, man, like I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, there's no way this is going to tie. This is nuts. So,
right. So then we have the Titans and the Houston, and that one was big for a lot of Chiefs Kingdom. If the Titans lose, if Houston beats the Titans, Chiefs get the number 1 seed. And it didn't quite work out like we wanted it to.
But Houston wanted to play with my emotions. And just and do everything they could to make me,
right.
Yeah.
All of
crazy.
Chiefs Kingdom had eyes on this game and needed Houston to beat Tennessee. A Houston win would grant Kansas City the number 1 seed. But a win for Tennessee would give them the number 1 seed. And even through a few miscues, you could tell they came out with a purpose. The running game was tenacious.
Hand off to Hilliard. He's got some room. Hilliard to the 20. Cuts it back and still going. And
Ryan Tannehill was efficient on the day, connecting with 9 different receivers. Midway through the second quarter, Tannehill would connect with Anthony Ferkser to take a 7-0 lead. Just a few minutes later, Tannehill would connect with multiple receivers, driving the Tennessee Titans down the field.
Play fake. Tannehill fires wide open.
Finally connecting with A.J. Brown to extend the lead to 14-0.
In the field. 2nd and 8. Tannehill. Brown at the 10. Brown 5.
Tennessee would score one more time before half with this connection between Tannehill and wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akina to build a dominant 21-0 lead.
Coming out in the second half, the Titans would get the ball first, but the Texans' defense still had some fight in them. David Wells started to gain some confidence with this connection to Danny Amendola. Then would throw a beautiful pass to Rex Burkhead. And even threw in an NFL class.
Today. Burkhead, it's a flea flicker. Back to Mills. Wide open is Moore. He's got it. Touchdown. The Texans dial up a trick play, and it works. They're on the board.
Early in the fourth quarter, Texans strike again with this connection from Mills to Amendola.
Wide open. Touchdown. Amendola.
Houston would go for two and be successful to bring this game within 3. Not so fast, say the Titans, as Tannehill rifles one into Julio Jones for his first TD of the year. Amendola must be drinking from the fountain of youth as he finds the end zone once again.
Another one! Danny Amendola turning back the clock!
Unfortunately for Chiefs fans, Houston's efforts would fall just short as the Titans win a close one, 28-25.
Blocking ahead. Hilliard, first down in bounds, and that should do it.
All right, so yeah, Houston put up a really good fight, like David was saying. Texans put up a good fight. They come up a little short there at the end, and the Chiefs get the number 2 seed. The Titans get the number 1 seed, which just means that we have one more extra game. We play against the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. So, yeah, what was your thoughts on that, bub? You're muted.
Sorry, I mute my mic when the videos are playing because I don't want to clear my throat or cough while the video's going. But I watching that game, it was emotions were built up because I saw the Texans going in there, and the Texans were creating a lot of havoc for Tennessee, and I was like, man, like this couldn't get better, and then Tennessee turned around and came back, and huge letdown. But I'm excited for Tennessee. I hope we see them again. So I'm real interested in that talk about Derrick Henry coming back and his injury. So let's like I said, hopefully they make it far. So
yeah, and Donnie's right. They looked good. They just had a hard time at the beginning, and Houston made a push, and they almost got it. As far as Tennessee goes, my thoughts about Tennessee, I think that they could be the most dangerous team in the AFC with Derrick Henry coming back. The adversity that this team's gone through. So Kansas City's identity is Patrick Mahomes. Well, Tennessee's identity is Derrick Henry, and they lost him for a big chunk of the season, and they still and they had COVID issues. I know we had COVID issues too, but they had COVID issues. They lost Derrick Henry. They had other injuries. They had a bunch of adversity over in Tennessee, and they still got the number 1 seed. And now they get their identity back. They get their main character, back, their main player back, and I think they're possibly, just like they're seeded, the most dangerous team in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I think it's just going to depend on how Derrick Henry comes back for them. Are we going to see Derrick Henry nursing that injury or is he legit ready to go?
Right. So, all right, guys, real quick. Hey, look, just ask you guys a quick favor. If you are enjoying the content, please hit that like button, hit the share button. We want to get more people from Chiefs Kingdom, get the rest of Chiefs Kingdom in here into this legendary community. And it takes 5 seconds. It helps way more than you might think. So please help us out by doing that. I'm not going to take too much time on that. So, the season ended, and we have an annual event that happens every year, and that is Black Monday.
Black Monday.
So give us an update, Chase. What's going down on Black Monday?
So Black Monday is never a day that I look forward to, but I'm always interested in it because, you pay attention all year long. You want to see where these teams are going in the future. What worked, what didn't. I'm a huge advocate of, I'm not okay with, cheering people to lose their jobs. But I think that, because they all have families just like us, they all have things they want to do. So I'm not going to celebrate them losing their jobs, but maybe something else is better for them. So, the first one.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
No, you're fine. I was going to continue talking. The first one is probably the most shocking one to me. And this is ridiculous. And I know we got Rob in here, and Rob is a Miami fan, and I was rooting for Miami. This is stupid. This is absolutely asinine. I
couldn't believe it. It was the most shocking out of all of them. I couldn't believe it.
Three seasons as a head coach, 24-25 record, and he's 4-2 against his former team, the New England Patriots. And they got on that hot streak, a 7-win streak, right? And here comes Stephen Ross and goes, "Yeah, no, we're going to fire Brian Flores. We're going to get rid of him." What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to get rid of Brian Flores, who are you going to bring in return? A high-profile coach? Like maybe, say, Jim Harbaugh? Oh, no, because they asked Jim Harbaugh about that during the press conference, and Steven said, Mr. Ross says, "No, I'm not going to be the one that pulls Jim Harbaugh away from Michigan." So you fired the head coach? And you're not going to go after a high profile?
Yeah. Jake Gibson says Black Monday is the worst. You can't look away.
You can't.
Like a train wreck. It's like a train wreck.
And that's my thing is, I pay so much attention to it. I watch it. Growing up a Chiefs fan, Black Monday was a holiday you paid attention to. And it's not a holiday, but it was a day you pay attention to. Like I said,
it's exciting because, back in the day, we didn't have that great of a team. So we wanted to see that change.
Yeah.
So we were,
and
someone being out of there or whatever.
Yeah. So, there were certain things that, you expect to happen on Black Monday. And then there's other things you don't expect to happen. Brian Flores, that shouldn't have happened. And Brian Flores deserves a head coaching job in the NFL, and he deserved that Miami job because he worked his ass off for it and worked his ass to keep it, and has a great young team that he could build off of. I mean, I wanted to take some time and put together some of the Twitter, some of the players from Miami and their Twitter feed of when they found out that Brian Flores was let go.
Oh, man, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an opportunity to go on Twitter and look at it, those players are disappointed.
Absolutely. And that's my point is, they just rallied. They didn't rally around themselves. They rallied around that coach.
Yeah.
And they, for the past 9 weeks, they've just played lights out behind this coach.
Yeah.
And for this coach. And he completely turned the organization around mid-season and had them going in a great direction. Tua basically owns the AFC. He's never lost to the Patriots. So the AFC East, he's done really well in, and plays well for Brian Flores. I just couldn't, like we both said, I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. It was one of the worst decisions I've seen made all off season, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And we've talked about on this show before, crappy organizations. And, I'm not going to call Miami a crappy organization, but I mean, like, I expect that type of a move from
the Giants.
From the Giants. I expect that type of move from, Detroit, from Cleveland,
Absolutely.
These asinine decisions where it's like, wait, what? 3 seasons, he has a winning record. He has a winning record against the most dominant team in the division.
Yeah. And
he's just getting that rhythm, building that consistency, getting good with the team. And then you go and thrust him out. It just doesn't make much sense to me at all.
And
so my hope is
to worry again.
Yeah. Has to bring in another coordinator, another head coach, has to learn a new system again. I don't understand.
Give the kid some security.
Yeah.
Give him some security. The same coach, the same OC, the same offensive coordinator. Give him some security, and then see if he flourishes. But that's the only way he's going to.
Yeah. And that move, I just didn't understand. I could understand if the fan base, if the Miami faithful were on Stephen Ross's ass, telling him, hey, get rid of Flores. But from what I've seen, the reactions I've seen, and I'm excited to watch Gig 'em guys with Miami ties tomorrow, because I want to see Rob's reaction. I want to see Miami's reaction, the rest of them, because from what I've seen so far, it didn't look like a whole lot of people were happy with this decision. I didn't see a whole bunch of people clamoring together to say, hey, let's get rid of Flores. So it's just an odd decision. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And my hope is that Flores can go somewhere and meet up with Miami and stomp the dog snot out of them, because I hate that.
Yeah, get a little bit of revenge on, that I hope the same.
Yeah. Yep.
So go ahead.
All right. So next on the list was our good friend over here at Minnesota, Mike Zimmer. He's been with the organizations for 8 seasons. He's got a record of 72-56, and he's 2-3 in the playoffs. And I can't remember when Zimmer took over who he had as quarterback. But I think his 8 seasons as the head coach, I think the front office wanted to see something done a little bit differently. So that's why they elected to do away with Mr. Zimmer. I know Zimmer's had a pretty competitive program over there. But he promised to bring Minnesota a Super Bowl, and he really, it was kind of nice, when he was doing his little, when he spoke, when he was leaving, he mentioned to everybody, hey, I really, really wanted to bring Minnesota a Super Bowl, and we just couldn't get it done. So yeah, it's time for Minnesota to go into a different direction. Like I said, I hate watching these guys lose their job, but there's situations where, you have to eventually, make a change. and this change had to be made. The other one that was not so surprising to me was our division rival.
Yeah.
Over here, Mr. Vic Fangio. He has 3 seasons as the head coach, a 19-30 record, and 0 playoff appearances.
Terrible.
Yeah, I think they talked Friday during that game against the Broncos when we played that the Broncos are the only team in NFL history to go to the Super Bowl and miss the playoffs continuously 6 years after. And I think there's plenty of blame to go around in that organization. One, I think making John Elway head of personnel, like practically the general manager for so many years. He made a lot of stupid choices as general manager. And then they finally went a different direction. They brought Vic Fangio in. I don't think he's going to be the guy to lead this team somewhere. So, and
sorry,
maybe
I was looking at the comments.
At Rob's comment, Fangio's 99 years old. Yeah, so I think that as obviously an AFC West division rival, I don't see them doing much as far as the division goes. There's a lot of rumors right now about who AFC West teams are looking at. I don't think there's nothing sexy about that job in Denver to make me say, oh, that's going to land a high profile coach like a Jim Harbaugh or any of those guys. I there's just nothing sexy about that job that appeals to high profile coaches.
Yeah.
So they'll probably try and promote within. I know there's talk that they've requested to speak to Eric Bieniemy. Like I said, I feel bad for Eric if he takes that job. Good for him if he does, but he's got to play against Patrick Mahomes with Drew Lock.
Yeah, and he does know Mahomes. And then I wanted to go back to Mike Zimmer. Like you said, it was 8 seasons in the league. Let's go back to that graphic. 8 seasons in the league as head coach, 72-56 record, 2-3 in the playoffs. I mean, he had 8 seasons. And if you can't get it done, it didn't seem that he could get over the hump. Kirk Cousins is not that guy. He's just not. And he's been around for a while. And then, pardon me. And then Vic Fangio, that's just it's terrible. I mean, the 19-30, 3 seasons as a head coach, it's just not good. I mean, and a lot of people believe that this is a good roster. They've got a pretty good defense. They're missing a little bit of a pass rush. And they've got all kinds of good with Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy. They need a quarterback, but it's you kind of hit on it all the time. It's like a culture thing. John Elway, I believe, is stepping out. Don't quote me on that, but I believe he's stepping out completely. I know that he gave up his GM responsibilities previously, but he's stepping out completely. And Peyton Manning might be in. So just real quick, Lavelle, I seen you tuning in, buddy. I appreciate you tuning in. If you could, real quick, hit that share button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell wherever you are. You can find me at Jaymes Howell 1. You can find Chase at CR Media. So yeah, then like I said, like you were saying, there's been talks about the Broncos talking to EB, Eric Bieniemy. And I just wanted to address, maybe not necessarily that, but the whole notion of these teams being able to talk to coaches before, like I know the regular season's done, but the postseason isn't done yet. And these coaches that you're wanting to talk to, they still have a job that needs to be done, and that they're trying to finish in the regular season. On top of that, let's look at teams like the Raiders, who are in the postseason, and they will need a head coach this season or this offseason. They are working with the interim head coach right now. And so now the Raiders don't get the same fair shake that these other teams get. You know, and by the time maybe the Raiders win this game coming up against the Bengals, and by the time they get knocked out and they're in the off season, prime candidates that they wanted to interview might be gone. I mean, like, I know as Chiefs fans, we're like, well, it's the Raiders. Who cares? You know, but you know, but if we were on the flip side of that coin, you know, like on the flip side, we wouldn't like that very much. And I just don't think it's fair, you know, to be able to talk to these coaches until the season officially ends, the postseason and everything.
Yeah. You know, and I think with the Raiders, because they've made it into the playoffs, I think what you're going to see is that more than likely they're going to promote their interim head coach. You know, because he still was able to take them to the playoffs and get them where they need to go and whatnot. But you know, yeah, it would seem like a little bit of an unfair advantage that they're not able to have conversations with coordinators. But again, it's the Raiders. So.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that leaves the possibility of EB is leaving, like we come across every single year. Eric Bieniemy might leave. He's always he seems to always be like a top head coaching candidate, never really gets the job. What do they say? It's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride type situation. Do you think that this is the year?
I don't know. I don't. And you know what, man? It brings me to the final Black Monday firing. Now, obviously, today is Tuesday. We don't have a cutesy little name. I mean, guess we can call it Black Tuesday. I'd call it Taco Tuesday. But you know, Black. You know, today. Yesterday, I was hot. Because Brian Flores got released to his duties, but Joe Judge happened to make it through the day, and I have no idea how the hell that happened. How does Joe Judge?
There was rumors that he was going to keep his job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, one of the analysts or one of those, you know, news leakers from CBS came out on Twitter and said that she had heard that the word was in the Giants front office that Joe Judge was keeping his job, and I was mad the whole day. I was like, how does Brian Flores lose his job, and Joe Judge, this moron that was kneeling the ball on the 2-yard line, gets to keep his job? No,
it don't make any sense, bro.
You know, and I've got a brother who, you know, I love him to death, man, and he, you know, he's smarter than everybody. You know, he's so smart, man, and he'll always tell me he'll always be like, Chase, don't criticize those NFL coaches, man, because they know a lot more than you do about the game. Well, then that tells you how bad Joe Judge needed to be fired, because his ass didn't know shit. And you know, because I mean, even if you could argue that was the offensive coordinator calling the plays, if my offensive coordinator calls that play, I'm firing his ass right then and there. Like, go home, pack your bags, and get off the sideline. What are you doing?
Down to is when you're the head coach, you are in control. You know, your offensive coordinator, but can call the plays, but when things go awry, you can take over at any given time. You're the head coach.
Yeah.
You know,
and if Joe Judge is your head coach, then I feel sorry for you because he's a moron.
I'm sorry. I'm terribly, terribly sorry.
But the Giants, they redeemed themselves a little bit today. They went ahead and let Joe Judge, like I said, I'm not gonna advocate for anybody to get fired. But it's very clear that Joe Judge has no business coaching in the NFL. He can go do something else. He can sell houses or sell cars or something like that. I don't know, but he doesn't need to be coaching in the NFL. So then the other firing, our last one from Black Monday, was going to be former Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy. He spent 4 seasons as a head coach of the Chicago Bears. He compiled a record of 34-31, and he is 0-2 in the playoffs. I wasn't surprised at this firing. Matt Nagy has struggled the past couple of seasons. He
had Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not the only issue over there, but
yeah,
I mean,
definitely, definitely not the only issue, but and then they've drafted Fields, and Fields has showed some spark, but Matt Nagy was just one of those guys where we've watched 2 offensive coordinators leave Kansas City in Andy Reid's tenure, one of which went on to a talented Philadelphia Eagles team and took them to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl, and then now Matt Nagy, who was not able to get off the ground with the Chicago Bears, and now it looks like doesn't look like it. It's the Bears are done with him. So,
I think rightfully so. I mean, he was you remember the double doink?
Yeah.
So he was a double doink away from a playoff victory, but I don't think that justifies him keeping his job. He didn't and I believe it's his roster management. He had a talented squad. He was basically a quarterback away. They went and got the quarterback, but then in other areas he's let things slip. He was a great offensive coordinator. Well, I thought he was a great offensive coordinator when he was here in Kansas City, but it just couldn't transition to that head coaching position. I mean, it's a bigger job. You have more responsibilities, and so.
I mean, and that typically
itself.
And that typically happens when those guys leave those coordinator jobs, go to head coach. Some guys are built to be head coaches. Some guys aren't. We go back to Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel was definitely built for that defensive coordinator job. I think he was, I thought he was great at it. He ran that 3-4, and he ran it pretty well. And then every single time they tried to transition him into a head coaching position, it didn't work out. Yeah. Whether it was Cleveland, Kansas City, wherever. So.
Mm-hmm. So what I forgot to do, Chase?
What'd you forget to do?
Like I was so excited, and I brought it onto the show, and I was drinking out of it, and I forgot to even say anything about it. Look, guys, big news. We did get a little merch drop come in. We have the Stay Legendary coffee cups for sale right now. If you want one, message me on Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. They're $10. It's a real simple process. Just message me real quick. They're dishwasher safe, all that good jazz. And, don't ask me what's in my cup.
There you go. I'll be getting one of those, and we'll be showing it off on the weekly, man.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Jeff Sherman brings up I'm so glad somebody said something about this. He brings up a very good point. If Eric Bieniemy gets a head coaching position, I would take Matt Nagy back? Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, because that just happens to be the next topic on the rundown here. So the question is, would you take Matt Nagy back? Chase and I, we were talking previously. We don't necessarily see eye to eye. Chase, I'll let you go ahead and go first since you made this wonderful graphic for us.
Yeah, so my thing is, would I take Matt Nagy back if Eric Bieniemy leaves? Yes and no. If the situation is, Eric Bieniemy abruptly leaves, if it looks like he's not going to get a job and then all of a sudden he does and he leaves out and we need somebody to come in quick, I wouldn't mind picking up Matt Nagy. I just don't think when people think of Matt Nagy, they don't realize that, like it says, 4 seasons as a QB coach with Alex Smith as the QB, 1 season offensive coordinator. And that was Alex Smith's final season with us. So other than Patrick's rookie year, Matt Nagy didn't work, with Patrick as the starting quarterback, other than that 1 game against the Denver Broncos, that last game of the season. So if the discussion becomes, hey, we should go pick up somebody, I personally am all for us going and calling Doug Peterson to come back to be offensive coordinator rather than I would Matt Nagy. His last game with Kansas City was the infamous Tennessee playoff game. And I'll never forget that playoff game because, number one, that's when Marcus Mariota caught his own pass for a touchdown because Darrelle Revis slapped it into his hand.
What are the chances?
Yeah. For a while there, it was almost like we were cursed. Andrew Luck picking up a fumble and scoring, and then that whole thing. But anyways, that was Matt Nagy's last game as offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs before he took the head coaching job in Chicago. And what stuck out about that game was the game that was the final straw for Brett Veach. Brett Veach said, you know what, this is not working. We're changing something. And he traded Alex Smith, started to go with Pat as starting quarterback, made a couple other changes. I think they canned a couple other personnel people, and Brett Veach was off to the races after that. So, like I said, if Eric Bieniemy meets with a couple of teams in the next week, and we bring Matt Nagy in, I'm not agreeing to it, but I'm not completely opposed to it. But if we need somebody to come in to that has the chemistry with Reed and knows Reed's plays, Nagy obviously would be a perfect fit. So
yeah, and my thing is he's familiar with what's going on here in Kansas City. He's familiar with Andy Reid. He's familiar with Patrick Mahomes. And I know he spent most of his time with Alex Smith, but he is familiar with the situation. So if the situation is that Eric Bieniemy does get a head coaching position, which I hope that he does, it's well-deserved, I would be comfortable with Matt Nagy coming back to Kansas City as an offensive coordinator. And I think it would be a relief to Matt Nagy to maybe get some of that responsibility off of his shoulders, and quite frankly, might be refreshing. And so it might change things for him. I know he struggled a little bit in Chicago, but when you simplify things, oddly enough, it gets a little simpler. So, with that said, we are going to go ahead and go to break. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Would you take Matt Nagy back as offensive coordinator if Eric Bieniemy was to get a head coaching position this offseason? When we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk about this last Chiefs game against Denver a little bit. We're going to talk key injuries, playoff bracket, And we do have this L'Jarius Sneed 8x10 that you can't see. You can kind of see it, but it's an 8x10. It's got a certificate of authenticity on the back. You can definitely see that. And we still got to give that away. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. What's going on, guys? Jaymes Howell here. Look, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure that you smash that notification bell. That way you'll never miss any content from Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Also, while you're at it, go to Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk on Facebook as well as on Twitter. You can find the links for those in the description. Until next time, once again, stay legendary, guys.
Chase Riley here, the co-host of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. I wanted to take a moment to share with you guys that when I'm not on this legendary podcast, I'm out trying to help build our brand and the legendary community that James and I speak so much about. And by doing so, I started Chase Riley Sports. So it would really mean a lot to me if you haven't already to go like and share my page, and make sure you adjust the notifications accordingly so you never miss anything I post. It's extremely simple. It's just C. Riley Sports on all social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like I said, guys, it would mean a lot to me to have you guys join us on this journey. And until next time, stay legendary, my friends.
And it is not C. Riley Sports. Go ahead and tell us what it is now.
It's CR Media. So, and I got the graphic working. I wasn't completely done with it. We had to cut it short because we jumped on early to kind of do a breakdown of the show, but I've got the graphic. We'll get it loaded up. It's going to have all the social medias on there. Like I said, we're branching out. We've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch. So we are moving fast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So
at CR Media, you can find Chase Riley at CR Media. You can find me, Jaymes Howell at Jaymes Howell 1. And then what were you gonna say?
Well, it's CR Media 1988 on some of them. The reason, like I said, I'll get a graphic that shows all the different ones because I guess CR Media is pretty common, so I couldn't get that one locked down. So whatever.
Yeah. All right. So, outside of the playoffs, we did have a game ourselves. Kansas City went and went to Denver, took on Denver. Barely squeaked away with the victory. If it wasn't for Nick Bolton, we might have very well lost that game. Nonetheless, a win's a win. But I wanted to talk about the offense for a second. Patrick Mahomes wasn't really necessarily like slinging the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't that efficient. I think it was like 26 for 44, just a little over 50%. But yet they threw the ball 44 times and ran it 19 times. And this worries me because, going into the playoffs, especially against Pittsburgh, their weakness, Pittsburgh's biggest weakness is their interior defensive line. So we need to be able to establish the run. And if we're going to shy away from the run, on a day that Tyreek Hill's injured, which is a whole nother topic, a whole nother can of worms that we'll open up here in a little bit. But on a day that Tyreek Hill's injured, he's not really throwing the ball that well. I just think it's reminiscent of early season trouble.
Agreed. If they can squeak out that win against Pittsburgh, it's gonna be really nice to see. The Raiders again, because it just seems like that's the only time that Pat can get that big arm going is against the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, and I'm not sure. It's been the same story over and over again all season long. Cover two, yada yada yada. But at some point, it's just like you got to figure it out. Let's not act like Josh Allen's not seeing the cover two.
Yeah.
Let's not act like Mac Jones is not seeing or Joe Burrow is not seeing cover two. They're seeing cover two as well. And now I know Mahomes, he's put up good numbers. It's felt like an uphill battle the whole season. and once again during against Denver, it felt the same way. And I don't know. I just want to see him. I would like to see them utilize this offensive line that is very, very good. Especially the interior offensive line. Tooney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. They're very, very good. Let's utilize that and get this running game going. Especially, we're going to need to run the ball in the playoffs. As it gets colder, the ball itself gets physically harder, and it's harder to pass. It's harder to catch. You're going to have to run the ball. There's going to be times it's going to be 3rd and 2. You can't always rely on Tyreek Hill to run that out route to get those 2 yards. You're going to have to run the ball.
Yeah. And, you're in a position right now. We're in a position right now where we've got 3 beneficial backs. Now, say what you will about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He is questionable for this game. He is weak. They're still working to get him game ready. But even without Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you've got 2 other backs that are extremely beneficial as well. We talked last week. Derek Gore had 3 rushes for 40-something yards. 12.4 yards per carry, and Darrell Williams has been a monster with that ball. So,
sure,
if you're not, if
and I think Patrick, it goes deeper than that. I think Jerick McKinnon is a very valuable.
Exactly, yeah. Jarrett McKinnon showed up this week. So you've got 4 potential backs that can come in there and cause some ruckus. So let's get them in there, and let's show that interior line in Pittsburgh that they can cause some damage. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the running back group is incredibly deep. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter what Clyde Edwards-Helaire's, what your opinion of him is. If he is healthy and he's in the lineup, he's a valuable back. Darrell Williams, valuable back. Derek Gore, I think I'm excited to see Derek Gore next season. With a full offseason under his belt and, time to progress and not worry about week to week game plans and shit and, just different things like that, as far as like film review, game planning, stuff like that. You can really learn the playbook and focus on working on where your deficiencies are in the off season, and you get a lot more done in the off season. So I'm excited to see Derek Gore next week. So the big talk is, okay, so everyone's like, where's the issue as far as the offense goes? And I've been really critical on the wide receiver 2s. And I say 2s because I think we have a bunch of 2s, or 2s running around that none of them can really step up. But the thing is that true? Like, I started thinking about that statement. They're not able to step up. Is that true? And I went and I did some research, right? And did some math, broke out the calculator, gave myself a headache in the process.
All those teachers at Ray Peck and Belton told you always use math, and you always told them, I won't need this after high school. And here you are, man, using that Texas Instruments calculator.
So Mecole Hardman, the past 3 games, has 12 receptions, 187 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Byron Pringle has 14 receptions, 166, 2 receiving touchdowns. To put that into perspective for you, Tyreek Hill has 9 receptions, fewer than any of them, 61 yards, and 0 TDs. But James, they're double covering Tyreek Hill. He's the number 1 wide receiver. I don't care if they're double covering it. Like, figure out a way to get open. So is it the wide receiver 2 that needs to step up, or is it, or have they already? Because what's your expectations from a wide receiver 2? About 4 receptions, 5 receptions a game.
Yeah.
50 yards or so, maybe a touchdown. I would expect a touchdown every other game. But a wide receiver 2 should never have the same expectations as a wide receiver 1. And as the stats here are, our 2s are outperforming our 1. So, I just as hypercritical as I am on our receivers, I always try to keep it balanced. And I got to show them some love because Byron Pringle, McCole Hardman, they've been stepping up. They've been getting the job done over the past couple weeks. Notice I didn't say Demarcus Robinson. He has not. Yes, he had a touchdown. Other than that, what did he do? He hasn't done anything. So, moving forward, we like to be progressive.
Of course.
Do we like to hate on our team? No, but we look at what is wrong with the team, and so we can try to figure out what we need to do. So moving forward, what are your thoughts, man? What's going on offensively that we can do better going into this Pittsburgh game here at Arrowhead?
I think that I'm trying to find a way to word this without ruffling some feathers.
Daniel Hibden says 2 to 3 catches for your wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Maybe a little more, but yeah.
Yeah, this notion that the number 2 wide receiver needs to be as productive or more productive than the number 1 wide receiver is silly. That's why they're the number 2 wide receiver. Now, what needs to happen going forward, and I just, like I said, trying to find a way to say this without me coming off a certain way and upsetting other members of Chiefs Kingdom. Patrick Mahomes needs to learn how to be a game manager.
I really think that's why they kind of set him up behind Alex Smith.
Yeah.
You see the explosive side, but can you manage the game?
Yeah. And hopefully what we'll see, run, play action this weekend. And hopefully that builds up a little bit of that confidence and that esteem for Mahomes to get out there and throw a deep pass, run, play action. This season was a real eye opener for me, because, like I said, we look at Mahomes and we see Mahomes as being, the big 300 plus passing yard guy. And it didn't happen a whole lot this season. He didn't look like that guy. And so, maybe just take a step back and refocus on, in the off season, refocus on how they approach that offense, and not be a complete game manager. There's a reason why we love what Alex did for this team, but when it was time to move on from Alex Smith, it was time to move on because of because of the way he played was a game manager.
Yeah,
So
there's
I'm not
only
asking.
a certain level of potential within a game manager. I mean, Kirk Cousins is another good example of a game manager. It's rare that you have to pair that up with a phenomenal defense.
Yeah.
And then, then maybe you can be successful.
Yeah, there is a certain level of game manager. I'm not asking. I'm not saying that Mahomes needs to go all the way up to that level, but to maybe just ninja it up there a little bit.
Yeah.
To get that confidence, to get that spark back. Like I said, it's going to be something that they need to look at in the offseason.
Well, and I really think he needs to, and in the offseason, you're absolutely right. I think he needs to learn. He needs to take some time and look at dissecting some of these defenses and figuring out where their weaknesses are. Now, I think a lot of it has to do, and it starts with Andy Reid and the play calling. So, if you want to break a cover 2 shell, okay, if you want to expose it, you run the ball, okay, and you run the ball, and then you run the ball, and then you expose them on that when they either change to a cover 1 or a cover 3 and bring an extra guy in. Then you can go deep, then find the man-to-man coverage and go deep then, or you catch them on the play action, like you were mentioning earlier. But it starts with the run. And like I mentioned earlier, you have this is an all-pro offensive line. Minus the right tackle, which we're kind of injury struck right now as far as the offensive line goes. But they activated Kyle Long. He can play right tackle. He can play right guard. He's pretty versatile. I don't know how well he's going to play. It's been a long time since he's played. But if they deem him if they deem him ready, they say he's ready, then I kind of trust him. But for me, that's it. You have to exploit that. You have to take advantage of the fact that you have this all-pro offensive line and run the ball and help Mahomes get some easier looks by running the ball, and keep running it until it forces the defense to change the way they play you.
To get out of that cover 2 shell.
To break that cover 2.
Yeah, to break that cover 2 shell. And I agree. Like I said, you've got that. You've got four really good backs in the backfield. Utilize them. I mean, if it's, adapt. You got to be willing to adapt, and that's going to be that key to victory this weekend and going forward. Because the cover 2 shell started with Tampa Bay last year in that Super Bowl. Where they locked Mahomes down and they caused a lot of trouble. Now, granted, yes, there was a lot of injuries on that offensive line, but that game last year, that opened a Pandora's box for the rest of the league to see, okay, he's human, and we know how to beat him.
Yeah,
adapt. I mean,
and it's hard to do mid-season. But you
it is hard to do. It is hard to do mid-season, but I think my complaint as a Chiefs fan, that I would say is, it's been all season. It's time to make an adjustment. And if you think that they're not going to show these looks in the playoffs again, I mean, knock on wood, 3 Hail Marys, light me some candles, say a prayer, do all that stuff. But if we're fortunate enough to make it to Los Angeles in February, and we're looking across the field at Tampa Bay, what do you think? What do you think the outcome's going to be? Again, adapt. Let's change the way we set this up. So
let's also hope we have a better officiating crew.
Yeah, but
But to your point, I mean, I get what you're saying.
The officiating crew didn't cause the Chiefs to only score 9 points. So
yeah, and it's kind of like the Cincinnati game. The officiating crew sucked, but they only scored 3 points in the second half. So it's just what it is. And speaking of not being good, the defense has not been good. The defense has not been good at all the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks, they've allowed, just passing alone, 264 yards per game. The previous 6 games before that, it was 225 yards per game. That's a 70-yard difference. What's going on with the defense?
That's weird, man. And it's a little discouraging because, it was just a short, maybe 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, but maybe a couple months. We did mid-season awards, and one of the mid-season awards we gave out was to our guy, Spags.
Yeah, Steve Spagnuolo. I said he was the team MVP.
Yep.
Because he had done such a great job turning this defense around. And at the time, it might have been a little preemptive, but he had done a really good job. And then from that point, he continued to do a good job. Like, the defense still looked good for weeks afterwards. So, but now it's like it's almost, we see glimpses of early season struggles. We see Daniel Sorensen in the box. It's like, we've played with for weeks with him in the box, and he'll line up and either blitz or, only be in third downs or, whatever, limited capacity, and now we're seeing him line up in the box, and he's dropping back to safety and playing cover 2 with Juan Thornhill on the other side. And they're getting beat. They're getting burnt. And they look terrible. The run defense, Melvin Gordon ran 12 carries, 110 yards, 9.2 average with a touchdown. I mean, they look terrible.
Yeah, and so Daniel Sorensen, Ben Neiman, and it's wild because these were all the things that we complained about, with Spags, and Spag took that horrific defense and completely turned them around. And then, like you said, the past couple of weeks, it's almost like he's reverted back to the ways of the first couple of games of the season. And it's like, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm not sure if it was a comfort thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm not going anywhere, so I'm comfortable. And piss poor tackling, which perfectly describes how they played. And the piss poor tackling that we're talking about comes from those defensive backs. And that's not on Spagnuolo.
That's on an individual level. I mean, there was a clear lack of effort in that last game. And I don't know what defensive player turns down a shot at the quarterback. Like, quarterback's running into the end zone, has committed. You have a chance to possibly.
He's a player now. I mean, he's no longer a quarterback. He's not protected by the officials anymore. He took that ball and he started running forward. He's a player, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There's not. I can't find one. I don't know if I could find one defensive player that would go, I'm going to ease up on that shot.
Yeah.
No,
their eyes are going to light up like it's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. That son of a gun makes more money than you, and there's no reason why he does. because I'm way more important than he is. So I'm gonna go the dream hit.
Yeah, that's the dream you hit.
Yeah,
The hit you dream of,
yeah, the hit you dream of. I mean, that's every defensive player's.
And the Jarius Sneed had it.
Yeah,
He had a perfect shot at it.
there was
and he pulled up.
There was a couple of them that run in the red zone where there was just
4 Chiefs around him.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah,
Within
even Honey
2
Badger
yards.
was just looking at it, and I was like, man, that's I don't know, man. That was definitely odd to me.
Yeah. It was poor effort.
But and it was poor effort, not just in this Denver game, but poor effort in the Cincinnati game. Like I said, we talked about it a couple weeks. They were missing tackles, stupid, useless penalties. And I don't know, man. It's where do we go from here to make sure that the Chiefs are still playing football at the end of January? Where do you go?
Well, I think it starts with the pass rush. Rob Wilson from the Gig'em guys, he was saying last week, he said, when Chris Jones ain't got it going, the defensive backs, they struggle. And I do think there is a correlation between the two of them. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Melvin Ingram were almost a non-factor in this last game. And they struggled, and they were almost a non-factor in the previous game against the Bengals. And the defensive backs struggled. I think the way this defense is designed is they rely on that pass rush. They rely on it to throw quarterbacks their timing off, and also they play very physical, just like they have in the past few years. Our cornerbacks and our safeties, they play very physical, play very handsy, and that's why when we find referees that are kind of sticklers, we're like, oh my God, because maybe they get away with it a few more times than what they should. But I think that it starts with the pass rush. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Melvin Ingram, they got to get things going. Where do you think it starts?
I would say with the pass rush again. But you can, we saw in that Cincinnati game when they called that all-out blitz on 3rd and 27. The quarterback was still able to beat those guys coming in. So I just maybe it starts with making the right adjustments. Because like we saw in the Cincinnati game, and you saw a little bit of it in this Denver game, they weren't bringing up help. There wasn't a whole lot of. It was like, hey, old boy over here's on an island, man. Hope you can swim.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of like creates that issue, because where does the help come from? Does it come from where the safeties are? Does it come from where the linebackers are? I think the pass rush needs to continue to get better. But I'm looking for these defensive backs that were getting awards at the end of at the beginning of the season, or in the middle of the season. When the defense made the turnaround, they were talking about these defensive backs: L'Jarius Sneed, Ward, Fenton. Fenton had some major issues these past couple of games.
Yeah, where'd they go? Where'd these guys go? And I think they're just having a little hiccup, but Charvarius Ward has been the victim these past 2 games, and he's been exposed. moving forward, kind of like, where does it start? Where we were just talking about, maybe I changed my answer here, and it starts with Spags. There needs, at one point in this season, we had talked about what were the key changes that made this defense what it was. The obvious one was the Melvin Ingram acquisition. But outside of that, it was personnel changes. It was Daniel Sorensen having a different role, and Ben Neiman having a different role. And now we're starting to see, almost like you said, he's getting relaxed. And the only logical thing I could think of is like, maybe they're trying to get reps in different positions to prepare for injuries, if injuries were to occur. Trying different things here at the end of the season to prepare in case, if we got contingency plans. It's either that or Spags has gotten too comfortable with his job, and he's, like you were saying, he's not on the hot seat anymore, and whatever, we'll do it back my way.
Yeah, Spags is an East Coast boy. A lot of those guys over there on the East Coast, especially like Northeast, New York, Jersey, Philadelphia, a lot of those guys are stubborn. They're in their ways, and Spags is, I'm going to do it my way or no way. Maybe.
Yeah, he's pretty stubborn, and and it's almost I think it's an overconfidence issue, because he knows that he's good. He knows what he does is good, and he is qualified. In my opinion, he is qualified to be a head coach someplace, just like Eric Bieniemy is. So sometimes I know, like, I've got a lot of experience in the kitchen, previous jobs. And I've done this as well, is like, I don't want to hear how you do it. I know what I'm doing. Like, you just, and you block some other things out, and you revert back to what you, and I see that as what's the most logical reason of what's happening here.
Yeah. And maybe there's not an arrogance about it. Like I said, maybe he's just stubborn.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me, like you said, just the little pieces you look at that we changed in the off season, or we changed in the middle of the season, and then now, and it was very blatant. Like, hey,
yeah,
Sorensen doesn't need to be out there. He doesn't need to be deep on the field. He doesn't need to be covering people. Dan Sorensen needs to be hitting people.
It was so blatant that we as the fans started a GoFundMe account to buy out his contract. Get him out of here. We had enough.
Not me, but I mean, but a lot of other Chiefs fans did. Yeah,
some fan out there, not me personally.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing to see. I hope that they can get it corrected going into this next game. Speaking of this next game, no, we're not there yet. We'll go to the injury report first. All right, so going into this next game, Chase kindly made up this beautiful graphic for us. We have very little injuries. We were relatively healthy. Go ahead and tell us about it, Chase.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill injured his heel pregame last game against Denver, and I think for safety precautions they kept him out of the game. A sore heel, definitely not something you want to aggravate. So it's probably best that they left him out. Darrell Williams has had a toe issue. He is day-to-day. And then also Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was actually talked about coming back last week, has been week to week on this shoulder and is still questionable day-to-day on this shoulder. So it hasn't been hasn't been released yet if Clyde Edwards-Helaire will play on Sunday, but they do expect Tyreek Hill and Darrell Williams to be full participants in that game on Sunday. Now, what I am curious about, and I put this on here because I figured we would talk about it and see if any of our viewers or even you yourself have much insight on this. The gentlemen that are listed on the right, Colin Saunders, Chris Lamons, Joshua Kando, and Lucas Niang, are all IR, but it says expected to return week 19. Now, if my calculations are correct, Sunday night is week 19. So, but there hasn't been much news released about those 4 individuals. I know Lucas Niang could be a humongous.
It would be a huge boost, but I'm not sure on it. As far as I knew, Lucas Niang had a pretty severe injury. So it might be one of those days where they have to list him out a certain way to manipulate the system, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering when I saw those. You know, I was searching elsewhere to see if maybe I could get a little bit more information about their status, but didn't see much of anything. So I was like, well, I'll go ask. I'll put it on there and see if James knows or see if one of the viewers knows, and we'll go from there.
So look, Lucas Niang had a torn patella tendon. Complete recovery time takes about 6 months.
Gotcha.
So,
so he is more than likely indefinitely out.
Yeah, it's probably just a way they have to list it or something on that end. But I did want to talk about Tyreek Hill because I thought that in this last game, like he's injured and we see him coming in and out. And I know like his usage went down, but he would come in and get a first down and then he'd go sit on the bench again. And I wasn't happy with the way they managed that. Like if he's injured and you know that he injured his heel and he was visibly limping around, get him out of the game. What is he even doing in there? You know, what was your thoughts on the situation?
I agree. I mean, you know, it wasn't like Tyreek made a huge difference in that game. And it's the last game of the season. And, you know, win or lose that game against Denver, you know, although I'm very excited we won, I'm very excited we kept the 2 seed. But we're playing this weekend regardless. We want win or lose that game against Denver.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't a must-win game for us, and you're risking, you know, that heel softens up, and a lot of the times when those heels soften up and those heels are the source of the injury, we all know what that turns into. I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx anything, knock on wood. You know, holy water and 7 Hail Marys.
Heels are tricky. I mean, they can turn into lingering injuries and lingering issues, and you have to treat them delicately.
Yeah. Well, the big one I was talking about was the Achilles.
The Achilles, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's definitely not something you want to aggravate on Tyreek Hill and lose him, because not only would you lose him for the remainder of this season, we would also lose him for a good chunk of next season as well.
Yeah.
So
and historically, Achilles injuries are career enders.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, players don't really come back the same after Achilles.
Our guy Derek Johnson had 2 of them.
Yeah, and it was amazing that he had come back from the first one. The second one ended his career. You know, so he just wasn't the same when he come back. All right, now I wanted to talk about the playoffs a little bit, like we haven't talked about the playoffs enough today. But we got the number 2 seed. That was the end result from the games that were played this last weekend. We got the number 2 seed. We are pitted up against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home at GEHA Field or Stadium, field at Arrowhead Stadium. However, it's at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yep. Not really sure why you even threw the GEHA in there.
I heard that the GEHA Field is in GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. That first part, it's just silent. That's how you pronounce it. So it's just silent. It's just Arrowhead Stadium. So this weekend we got Sunday Night Football. Actually, I'm really excited about it because I've been trying to get my kids into football. And oddly enough, my little daughter that's 3 years old, she's the one that likes football a little bit more than my 5-year-old son. But this week I seen that they're going to broadcast the football game on Nickelodeon. And so that's kind of cool. It's Sunday night at 7:30, I believe, Central Standard Time. Am I right?
Yeah. Did you they did that last year, the year before, I think. Maybe they did do it last year. They broadcasted one of the games on Nickelodeon. And it's really it's different. But it's very cool for the kids. They do like slime graphics and a bunch of little cool.
Me and my little one, we watch Slime Time, which is like highlights and stuff like that. It's like a sports center for kids, or like NFL Today or whatever. So that's pretty exciting. David Lindsay says he'll be at the game this weekend. I was thinking about it. Tickets were relatively inexpensive for. I think I seen them. What I said, $120, something like that, per ticket. So in the big scheme of things, those are pretty cheap, pretty inexpensive. So I was thinking about it myself, but I probably won't. David, I hope you have a blast out there. I hope Kansas City gets this dub and you get to see it firsthand. And it's Big Ben's last game. So, that'll be cool. No matter what the outcome, to say that you were there. That's awesome, brother. We do play the Steelers. What's your predictions on that game, boss?
Man. That offense has been kind of nothing to write home about. I could see this. Yeah, I could see it being a barn burner. So I have PTSD with Steelers playoff games. Because I went to the last playoff game we played against the Steelers. The one where the Steelers never scored a touchdown and they beat us.
No touchdown game.
Yeah. We scored a touchdown. They didn't. And so I don't want to predict a score anywhere close to that. But I feel like that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a defensive, punch in the mouth, just grudge match. I'm going 24-10, Kansas City.
I agree. I also think it's going to be a very physical game. TJ Watt is going to be playing out of his mind. And I honestly worry about that matchup between him and Orlando Brown Jr. or whoever might be playing on the right side. So I think that there's going to be. It's going to be a little bit closer than what a lot of Chiefs fans are going to feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Daniel Hibden says it's going to be 28-10. I think it's going to be within one score. I'm going to say 28-24, Kansas City.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, man. The only reason I went to 24 score was because I could see the Chiefs getting a final, just one of those final scores that seals the victory. And I can see how that goes. I'll be honest with you, man. This game worries me.
Don't be fooled because we smacked them around the first time. It's not. This is not going to be an easy game.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion with this game. I mean, it's Ben's last game. I think those guys, they want to play for Ben. And knowing that it's his last game, I can see these guys stepping it up, man, big time. Just to be like, not Najee Harris is nothing to be. He's not a pushover.
Melvin Ingram just tore up this defense.
Yeah,
Najee Harris is just as good, probably better.
Yeah. So I mean, he's not a pushover. This is going to be a rough game for Kansas City. I think it is. And the offensive struggles. I just don't see them going out and tearing up this team like a lot of what I've seen a lot of Chiefs Kingdom says. I mean, there's a thing floating around Facebook that says, hey, everybody's invited to Ben's retirement party. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of juju I don't want to put on this team. And
that's funny. I sent that to Mike Harris.
So I like I said, I think it's going to be a good game. It's not going to be what the league wants. The league wants those high explosive games. That's why they put Patrick Mahomes in prime time. They hope that they get that explosiveness from Patrick. I don't think you're going to see that, man. You're going to see a grudge match. You're going to see two teams punching each other in the mouth. And I do think Kansas City comes away with it, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be 60 minutes of shit. So
a couple other games, and we're just going to cover the AFC tonight. Chiefs are in the AFC. We're just going to cover the AFC. But we have New England and Buffalo. Who do you think takes this one?
Buffalo.
Any reasoning behind that, or is that just from the gut?
I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo just has a little bit of. I think Buffalo is trying to show everybody, hey, this is our division now. Mm-hmm. I think Buffalo is going to show everybody that New England's time is done. Mac Jones is good, but Buffalo is trying to assert their dominance.
I mean, that's fair points. I think it's going to be New England. Myself, Bill Belichick is really, really good in the postseason. And Mac Jones, I understand he's a rookie, and, this is a big moment for him. This defense is really good. He's going to be able to ride off of that and hopefully, the Patriots can make some mistakes happen and come out with the dub, because I think that is the best outcome for the Chiefs, is if the New England Patriots win. And I'll explain that here in a bit. So I think the Patriots win, and it's probably going to be a close one. I'd say 31-24 Pats. So we've got the last game we have to cover is the Raiders, which I don't know how the Raiders made it in. Miami would be such a better choice than the Raiders. for that game.
Yeah.
But it's how it worked out. But then we have the Raiders and the Bengals. What's your thoughts on this one?
I would absolutely positively love for the Raiders to win. Because I'd love for the Raiders to come back to Arrowhead. Why not? Beat their ass a third time. That would be phenomenal. But I think Cincinnati takes it, and I think Cincinnati embarrasses the Raiders.
Okay. So it's not even close.
No.
All right. So if Kansas City is to win, and New England is to win, and the Raiders are to win, that would send New England to Tennessee, and the Raiders would come to Kansas City, and we would meet up with them for the third time this year. I would love to see that scenario play out. It seems like every time we play the Raiders, we drop 40. And, are they going to make the same mistakes for the third time? Probably not. But I think there's a big I think it's really influential. I think like the mental side of things of, hey, we own you guys. We hung up 80 points on you already this year. We own you. I think it plays a big factor in the game. So I would love to see that play out. Going with my fandom instead of my gut, I would say Raiders win. And let's say it's 24-17. So
yeah, if you play the Raiders the third time, they're a division rival.
There's probably right.
Yeah. They're a division rival. There's not much different looks they can give you than the other two times that you played them. So I don't think it would be an issue. I don't want to. I would prefer not to play Cincinnati again because I think Cincinnati's still got the hot hand from playing us.
Well, I do think that if it was Cincinnati, no matter who it is, I think there's a mental advantage for Kansas City. And I understand that Cincinnati just beat us, but Kansas City is not happy with how that played out. And so I think there would be that advantage of revenge. They want revenge for that game. And so if Cincinnati was to come to Kansas City, which would be the case, and not play in Cincinnati, I think we beat them. I think we beat them handedly. My most the team I'm most concerned with, like I mentioned earlier in this stream, is the Tennessee Titans. And they're number one for a reason, and they just got their best player back. So I'm really worried about it. I do think that the Patriots can knock off Tennessee, and I'm confident that the Chiefs could beat Tennessee as well. But as far as easiest path and most ideal path to the Super Bowl, we want, as Chiefs fans, we want to see Tennessee taken out before we have to meet them.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
Hey guys, if you stuck with me this entire show, if you stuck with us watch the show, we love you guys. We appreciate you. If you've been following, you realize that there is a giveaway, and now is the time. We had a giveaway. If we reached 400 followers,
you know what I love about this giveaway? Let me tell you what I love about this giveaway. I say I love about this giveaway, but it's not going to sound it. Number one, I'm upset that the co-host couldn't enter in the giveaway. That's some bullshit. Number two, if the co-host can't enter the giveaway, then I'm glad you suckers had to wait 2 hours to get it. So,
well, the co-host didn't know, but Jaymes Howell, he entered the co-host in one entry a long time ago. So I wasn't I wasn't gonna bring it up until today. But I did give you one entry. There are many people that got 4, got 2, some that got 1. It all depended on how much you participated in the comment post, the post that was pinned on top of my page. So what we did is we collected a list of everyone that was here that participated, and I got them all written down right here. So what I'm going to do is this is a randomizer. And look, guys, you guys are awesome. I said, let's get to 400. I said, let's get to 400 followers. We reached that. We surpassed that. We're at like 430 or something like that. And we made it happen so fast. It was you guys that made it happen. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are legendary. So real quick, we're just going to shuffle this up. I'm going to just spam this shuffle button. We're going to spin it, and we're going to find a winner. Here we go. Oh, that was so close to David. Austin Jones. Austin Jones is the winner. Austin Jones, if you're participating with us, if you're here with us tonight, I don't think that he is. He usually has to work the night shift, but if you catch this later, send me a message, send me your address. I will get this sent out to you. And to everyone else that participated, look, I really appreciate you guys participating with us and helping us grow this page. And there's going to be more. There's going to be more. Me and Chase have already talked about, maybe possibly getting a big time giveaway going, something more than just an 8x10. This is what Austin Jones won with us tonight. Certificate of authenticity signed by the man who doesn't like to hit QBs. So close. That was so close, David. So, yeah, like I said, I appreciate you all tuning in with us and just being with us, man. Coming and hanging out every single week. You're awesome. Anything else you would like to say before we get out of here?
No, just congratulations to Austin on winning that. That was, we want to continue to do cool stuff like this, and as we continue to grow this page, as you'll see down here at the bottom, the SuperDraftPro. James and I have talked with a lot of what we're going to look at giving away in the future is going to be surrounded by SuperDraftPro. SuperDraftPro is somebody that James and I have partnered with. We're going to help them grow as they help us grow, and that's how we're going to do it. Is sponsoring future giveaways based off of SuperDraftPro. So wanted to plug.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Wanted to plug them because they're at the bottom of the graphic there, and they're one of our partners, and
you can find the link for SuperDraftPro in the description, both on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. It's in the description, and it's really cool, man. If you like fantasy sports, you're really gonna enjoy it. Subscriptions start at just $20. It's relatively inexpensive, and that $20 gives you access to play games all month long. So go check it out. Click the link below. Go check it out. And yeah, I've got nothing else, buddy.
Yep. Other than go Chiefs, man. Hopefully we'll have great things to talk about on Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk on Tuesday. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to just do the live stream on Sunday night? Let's play it by ear. Let's play it by ear. I might want to just hang out with my kids since it's on Nickelodeon, but we'll see.
Yeah. Sometimes kids can suck. So sometimes,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd rather watch it by myself.
I'm sure I'll figure out about the day before and how much he's getting on my nerves for the week. So, all right, guys. I appreciate you guys, and as always, like I said, thanks for coming in. Man, I fucked up my outro. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. This was Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. I am Jaymes Howell. My legendary co-host over here this way, Chase Riley. We are out of here, and as always, stay legendary, guys. What's going on, guys? Jaymes Howell here. Look, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure that you smash that notification bell. That way you'll never miss any content from Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Also, while you're at it, go to Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk on Facebook as well as on Twitter. You can find the links for those in the description. Until